Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are going far, far away from sunlight, from pretty much everything we know, and plunging deep into the ocean.
Right. We're talking below 200 meters into a realm of crushing pressure and, near freezing temperatures.
And you'd think it would just be pure, constant darkness down there.
That's the common mistake, yeah. The deep sea is actually filled with flashes of light. It's all bioluminescence. Organisms down there, they don't have the sun, so they have to make their own light. For hunting, for signaling.
We're not getting eaten.
Exactly.
And that's the real paradox, isn't it? In this world where light is so rare but so important, every single flash is basically a spotlight.
It is. So for anything living down there, any photon that hits your skin is a potential giveaway. It means all the usual camouflage tricks, being transparent, having silvery mirrored scales, they just don't work.
They become a liability.
An instant failure. A focused beam of bioluminescence hits a transparent fish and it just scatters the light. It outlines them perfectly against the black. So the evolutionary pressure for true stealth is just immense.
So if you can't scatter the light, and you can't let it pass through you, the only option left is to absorb it. Perfectly.
All of it.
Our mission today is to dive into that very solution, the ultimate biological camouflage. We're talking about the ultra-black skin found in deep-sea fishes, and exploring the surprisingly simple mechanics behind this perfect, light-swallowing cloak.
It's a fantastic story of convergent evolution. These fish essentially solved a massive engineering problem with biology, creating a material that rivals some of the blackest things humans have ever made.
Okay, so let's define that. Ultra black. What does that actually mean, in a measurable scientific way?
The researchers had to set an incredibly high bar. They landed on a threshold of reflecting less than 0.5% of light.
Half of 1%.
Half of 1% across the entire visible spectrum. And that number is so important because it shows you just how absolute the need for stealth is down there.
Right, because if I think of something black, like a piece of black paper, what does that reflect?
A good piece of black construction paper reflects about 10% of light, so a lot. Even black acrylic paint is around 5%. These fish are in a completely different league.
And it wasn't just one fish. They found 16 different species, right, across 7 totally different unrelated orders.
All independently evolved the exact same solution. It's incredible.
But there had to be a champion, who was the absolute blackest of the black.
That title goes to an anglerfish species, Onerodes spe. When they measured its skin, it reflected just a staggeringly low 0.044% of the light that hit it.
Wow. And they measured that at a specific wavelength, didn't they? 480 nanometers.
They did, and that's not an arbitrary number. Not at all. That wavelength is right at the peak of the blue light that, dominates deep sea bioluminescence.
So it's maximally invisible to the exact type of light that its predators and prey are using to see.
Precisely. Its average across the whole spectrum was still only 0.051%.
That is just... It's hard to even process. To put that 0.044% number into perspective for you, that's on par with materials like vanablack, the stuff made from vertically aligned carbon nanotubes.
Yeah, those synthetic materials reflect about 0.045%, so basically the same.
And we need these complex, high-temperature, expensive labs to make that stuff.
Exactly. And these fish are doing it with simple cells and pigment at ambient temperature in the middle of the ocean. They are perfect, self-replicating manufacturers of darkness.
Okay, so we've established the performance is incredible, but let's talk about the why. Why does that last little bit matter so much? I mean, if a fish reflects, say, 2% of light, that sounds pretty dark to me. Why is that still enough to get it killed?
It all comes back to the environment, the bathypelagic zone especially, 1,000 meters down and more. There is zero background light.
None.
The only light is bioluminescence. And the predator's eyes have evolved to be phenomenally sensitive. We're talking about eyes that can detect just a handful of photons.
So in that total blackness, even that tiny 2% reflection from a predator's searchlight,
it's enough to turn you into a perfect silhouette against nothing. You might as well be glowing.
it really is a photonic arms race. And the researchers actually modeled this, didn't they, to quantify the advantage?
They did. They used sighting distance models, and they showed that dropping from that 2% reflectance down to the ultra-black 0.05% is, well, biologically profound.
How profound?
That seemingly tiny difference reduces a predator's sighting distance by up to sixfold.
Sixfold. That is a massive survival advantage. So if I'm a predator, my effective hunting range just collapsed.
It's the difference between being spotted at 10 meters, this is maybe 1.5. Down there, that's everything. It's the whole game.
Okay, that confirms the pressure. Now let's get into the engineering. How did these fish pull this off? It has to be structural, right? Not just chemical.
Right. It all relies on melanin, which is the same pigment that makes our hair and skin dark. But the key isn't just having a lot of melanin. It's all about how that pigment is packaged and organized inside these little organelles called melanosomes.
So if I put the skin of a regular blackfish and an ultra blackfish under a microscope, what's the difference?
Electron microscopy showed 3 key organizing principles that are just completely different from what you see in other dark fish.
Let's walk through them. What's the first one?
First, in a standard dark fish, the pigment cells can be kind of spread out with little gaps in between.
Okay.
In these ultra-black species, the melanosomes form a continuous, unbroken layer right at the top of the dermis. It's a solid shield. No gaps for light to sneak through.
A complete wall of darkness. Makes sense. What's number 2?
Density. It's not just a continuous layer. The melanosomes inside that layer are packed together as tightly as physically possible. They're maximizing the amount of pigment in the smallest possible space.
And the third principle, I think this one's about the shape, right?
Correct. It's the geometry.
Mm-hmm.
In most animals, melanosomes are sort of round, like little gumballs. But in these fish, they're larger and they're capsule-shaped. Think more like bricks in a wall than loose spheres.
And that shape has to be important. I mean, it must give some kind of physical advantage beyond just packing them in tightly.
Oh, absolutely. The size and shape are critical to the physics of how they trap light. The researchers actually confirmed this with some pretty complex computational modeling.
FDTD simulations, right? Finite difference time domain.
That's the one. And they needed that kind of model because the problem isn't just about absorption. Melanin is a great absorber, sure, but any material will reflect some light straight back. The model was needed to figure out how light bounces around inside this very specific architecture.
So what did the computers show? How does this dense, brick-like layer achieve almost zero reflection?
It's all about internal scattering. When a photon enters that layer, the shape and density of the melanosomes scatter it sideways.
So it doesn't travel straight down. It gets bounced around inside the layer itself.
Exactly. It's like the light enters a maze.
Mm-hmm.
And the sideways scattering dramatically increases what we call the optical path length.
Meaning the distance the photon has to travel through the melanin.
Precisely. By forcing it to take this long, winding path, you maximize the chance that it's going to be completely absorbed before it can ever find its way back out.
So the light is trapped, bounced around, until every last photon is absorbed. And the models even found the perfect dimensions for this biological light trap.
They did. The geometry is incredibly optimized. The sweet spot for size was between 600 and 800 nanometers, with an aspect ratio length to width of between 1.5 and 3.0.
Which confirms this isn't some biological accident. This is the mathematically perfect structure.
Yeah.
And evolution found it.
Over and over again.
It's incredible. So let's see this in action. Is this ultra black skin just a whole body cloak? Or do they use it strategically?
For a lot of them, yeah, it's just a whole body stealth suit, general protection.
Fun.
But you're right, there are some really fascinating strategic uses.
Give me an example.
Okay, think about ambush predators. Anglerfish, like our champion onirodes or dragonfish, they use these bright bioluminescent lures to attract prey.
Right, that little light dangling in front of their face.
That light is brilliant. But if the fish's own body reflected that light, it would give away the whole game. The hunter's silhouette would be lit up. The ultra-black skin prevents that. It absorbs any stray light from its own lure.
That is next level stealth.
Yeah.
You're making sure your own weapon doesn't reveal your position. The only thing the prey sees is the lure.
Then there's the problem of what you just ate.
Wait,
Well, a lot of deep-sea creatures are bioluminescent. So if you eat one, it might still be glowing inside your stomach. And that light can shine right through your body wall.
turning you into a flashing neon sign that says, I just ate. Come eat me.
Exactly. So some fish, like the bristlemouth cyclothone, practice what we call gut cloaking. Their ultra-black skin is highly concentrated, sometimes even exclusively, right around their gut.
So it's a very targeted application of this extreme stealth, just where the light thread is coming from.
It's biological efficiency at its finest. They only use this resource-intensive camouflage where they need it most.
This is just. The big picture here is that this one elegant, simple structure, this thin layer of optimized melanosomes, solved this massive problem for so many different kinds of fish.
It really is a textbook case of convergent evolution.
And this biological architecture is already starting to inspire human technology, isn't it?
Yes, the material science implications are huge. Unlike something like Vantablack, which can be fragile or hard to make, the fish skin architecture is robust and simple. It's just a dense layer of absorbing particles.
So researchers are looking at it as a blueprint for new ultra-black materials that are easier and cheaper to produce.
That's the goal. Imagine an ultra-black paint based on the skin of a deep-sea anglerfish.
That's amazing. But there was another connection you mentioned from a completely different field.
Yeah, and this one is really surprising. It's in oncology and dermatology. The way these melanosomes are packed, this extreme controlled density, it visually resembles some characteristics of human melanoma.
Which is basically pigment cells growing out of control.
Right. It's pigment cells gone wrong.
Yeah.
But the fish managed to maintain this incredibly dense layer of melanin perfectly their whole lives without any cell damage. So researchers are now studying the molecular controls the fish use to keep that layer so dense, but also so contained.
So by understanding how the fish manages this system, which in humans can turn malignant.
We might find new clues for how to control malignant pigment cells in cancer patients. It's a long shot, but the basic mechanism for controlling dense pigment is there.
That is a really powerful final thought, that the fight for survival in the deepest, darkest parts of our planet could hold clues for material science and maybe even for medicine.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating subject.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this, and thank you for joining us for this deep dive. It makes you wonder what other simple biological tricks might hold the keys to our own complex problems. We'll catch you next time.